Today we're being joined by Eric Bogard, Program Manager of Technology Services at Columbus Regional Airport Authority. Eric brings over 20 years of experience to today's webcast, with the last 5 years or so being at the Columbus Regional Airport. Eric and his team have been using Tempus Resource since about 2016. Eric, thank you for joining us today. How are you doing?
Yeah, good to be here, John. Great day here in Columbus, Ohio at the airport.
Awesome. So, Eric, today we wanted to discuss some best practices and your approach to when it comes to resource planning and forecasting, especially down there at the Columbus Regional Airport Authority. Eric, first off, why is resource management so important?
Well, really, I think without resource management, we would be flying blind here. So going back a couple years when I first started here at the Airport Authority, there were very little resource management processes in place. When I came in, we had a lot of folks doing a lot of good work, and we knew everybody had more work than what they could handle, but yet the projects just kept on coming in. We didn't really have any visibility into which resources we had that may be over-allocated, which resources we had that might be under-allocated. And so, like I said, we were just, really, it made it hard to make some informed decisions on, what to do, what projects we could do. So, like I said, resource management really provides that good foundation for good planning. And that's both at the portfolio level when we're deciding what projects we want to take on, and as well as from a project level, making sure the resources are available so that we can deliver a project on time and on schedule.
Oh, that's great. And, kind of going along with that as well, as you've gotten more ingrained with processes over there. Now, how has Tempus Resource help improve some of those processes and help provide some of that additional visibility for you?
So as I mentioned, when we first got here to the Airport Authority, we really had no process in place. So we started simple, started with Excel spreadsheets and started at least identify, hey, what are our resources working on? What projects do we have planned? What are our upcoming resource needs in a very small window? Hey, looking out weeks, maybe a couple months. But we quickly learned that, managing that amount of data in an Excel spreadsheet can be really challenging, especially knowing how frequently projects change. So we looked for a tool and went with Tempus to help us manage our resources. And really, it has helped us tremendously manage that large amount of data. We now also implemented and have both our IT groups in Tempus, and as well as our planning and engineering teams. Previously, we had no visibility into really what their resource needs were over there and vice versa. And now we have all of that information in a single tool available to us. We are also using Tempus for time tracking, for tracking our actuals. And what that's helped us is previously we had a separate Excel spreadsheet that we had to manage all of our timesheets in. And so trying to go out there and see, hey, what did we have planned out versus what did we actually use on these projects was virtually impossible without just somebody going out there and manually pulling the numbers together. So now we have that information readily available. Our project managers can go see it at their project level quickly in Tempus, or we can run reports to share with leadership and management. So yeah, it's been great.
Nice. It's kind of shifting gears maybe a little bit here. But, as these projects are kind of progressing through the different stages, can you maybe speak a little bit to the benefits of performing different benchmarking activities over the course of these projects and kind of how things compare from beginning, middle, and end?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we do our best effort as most folks do when we're first scoping out a project to capture what that project's going to look like. But as I'm sure anybody who's worked in project management knows, projects never seem to go exactly as we planned. In my 20 years of managing projects, I've yet to work in that perfect project. So keep waiting, maybe someday it'll happen, but haven't worked on it yet. So what Tempus allows us to do with the snapshot feature is we can go out at the beginning of the project and we can capture what we think the project is at that time. And then as we go through the project, as things start to change, we can capture a new snapshot at each of those gates of the project. So that kind of lets us to see how, as we go through the project, how well we're executing. But it also allows us to go back at the end of the project and kind of evaluate how well did we execute that project. You know, when we're having lessons learned at the end of a project, doing that post-mortem, it gives us an opportunity to use that as a piece of data. It also helps inform future decisions. We can use the data that's captured there to go out and see, you know, where when, you know, we do projects that might be similar to one another, and how can we use that information that we've captured along the way to make better decisions on future projects.
Understood. And when you're kind of thinking about making those better decisions on future projects, or, you know, future projects in general, you know, maybe can you tell me a little bit here about how it's really important to maybe avoid overhiring or underhiring, and how you guys go about making sure that you always have the right and the appropriate amount of resources available at any point in time?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, both under hiring or over hiring can both be a problem. If we go out and overhire and we have too many resources around, that's really going to increase our operating costs here at the airport. And in our industry, what that really translates to, if we have higher operating costs, is that means it's going to cost the airlines more to operate here at the Columbus John Glenn International Airport. And so that can have ramifications on our business in general. If our operating costs are high and it costs that airline more money to operate here, that may inform some of their decisions for whether they can add a flight here at the airport, or it could ultimately impact the profitability of that airline here. So, you know, that overhiring's, you know, it's critical to avoid that. But at the same time, underhiring can be just as big of a problem. And I would say usually that's, in my experience, has been more where we see issues is the underhiring part. But underhiring, that usually is going to mean resources are a lot more overworked. They're putting in long hours. That could then impact their engagement levels here. You know, they may even make decisions to leave the airport authority. But at minimum, it's probably going to impact the quality of the projects that we deliver. Even if we deliver the project, it may be late, and, you know, that can really have significant impacts on our business partners and their ability to do their job. So I think getting that right balance is important. You know, having the data available in Tempus helps us make those decisions easier than we could have in the past, when we just, you know, really didn't have any idea what we needed. So, you know, trying to strike a good balance is important.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about the trickle-down effect that either outcome could really have in the long term there, especially when you're thinking about overall costs and the potential impact there as well. So
yeah, absolutely. We have the ability really to impact our business one way or the other. So
yeah, and I mean, kind of around that same path too, you know, just in maybe terms of taking a step back and thinking about it, how do you think technology maybe over the last 5 or 10 years has really impacted, you know, not only just your decision-making process, but others in the industry as well?
Yeah, so, you know, I think this goes back to my previous, you know, examples. When we first came in, we really started capturing it just with an Excel spreadsheet, some basic information out there, and that was fine, and that was a form of technology, obviously. But now that we have that information in a tool and leveraging that technology, it allows us to have much better visibility into that data, to do the analysis that we need to, and to get that data real time. As I mentioned earlier, our projects change frequently, so it's important to have the technology available in the tool to be able to go out and see, okay, what is the impacts? You know, is now I have my business partner came up with this great idea or has a project that we didn't previously plan for. You know, how is that going to impact us? And I can go out in the tool and do that what if analysis in the tool to say, okay, if I add this project at this time, this is what it's going to do to my resources. And then I can kind of work with my business partner to say, okay, how do we can handle that a couple of ways. We know what the impact of that is now. Can we delay the project a couple months and see how and deliver it then? Do we go out and get staff augmentation to fill that gap? And, really without the technology, it would be a significant amount of man hours that would be needed to even come up with that what if analysis. That was really one of the big gaps with the Excel spreadsheet. Okay, you get your nice plan, you get it all worked out, everything looks great, and then all of a sudden, man, here comes a new project in there, or here comes all of a sudden a huge break fix that we need to focus on. And now, oh my gosh, now what do we do? What does that do to our plan? And that technology is what really allows us to make more informed and better decisions for our business.
Eric, how has Tempus been used internally for reporting and decision making?
Yeah, so we are using Tempus reporting for quite a few different in quite a few different ways. One of the ways is we now are able to provide resource dashboards as part of our monthly executive dashboard. That gives us two different things. The first way we're using that is looking back for 12 months and providing a summary report to our leadership of what hours we had planned and how we executed against those plans, so what our actual hours were. We also break that down and can give visibility into each month for the last 12 months, how much time was spent working on projects, how much time was spent working on core operational work, as well as how much time was that, what we call the ancillary bucket of time, which is just, non-project meetings, department meetings, things like that. So it gives that 12-month view. And then what else we do in that executive report is we provide a forward-looking forecast in what the next 12 months look. So, and we break it down by, in a similar way, of how much we have planned for each of those different categories of work. And then we can compare that in a nice graphical format to what our capacity is for those upcoming months. So we can look out and say, right now we're looking out a year and say, hey, it looks like in December we might have some capacity to take on some work or do some additional things that we didn't have planned. Or we can look out and say, this month, our resources are, way over allocated. We don't have near the capacity to deliver. So we can reset expectations or help us make informed decisions on, let's go out and get some staff augmentation to get us through that period of time in which we have more work out there than what we can plan. So it's like I said, like I mentioned earlier, we can plan out as good as we want, but, things start to change or projects just in general, one may be larger than we thought it was, or one may end up being smaller than what it was. So, really it provides that leadership across our company. They can easily see it. Our business partners can go out there. Maybe they have a new idea and they can look out there and say, it looks like technology has some capacity to do some work here in Q1 of next year. Let's start having a conversation with them to see if they can do that. So, it's important to the integrity of our department to be able to deliver on what we promised, and the reporting capabilities, the analysis that it allows to do from the system is really invaluable.
Gotcha. So yeah, not only being able to report in real time and have that understanding, but also to be able to be more forward thinking and to have that forward thinking plan and mindset, and totally makes sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Eric, hey, really appreciate your time here today. Thank you for taking time out of your day, sir, and have a great day.
Yeah, absolutely. It was good talking to you, and we'll talk to you later. See you, John.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric.